Everybody ready? 4 o'clock, April the 7th, 2025. I'll call this Board of County Commissioner meeting to order. I've asked Commissioner Sharon Langford to lead our prayer today, and I've asked Commissioner Martin to lead our flag. So if you'll silence your phone, we'll begin.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly, most gracious Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day and all the many blessings that you have given us. Lord, we ask that you be with our military, our first responders, and our leaders throughout this nation. Lord, we ask that you just protect them and be with those. Lord, we ask that you be with those who are sick and help comfort those who have lost loved ones. As we go about our business today, we ask that you be with us and help guide our minds and our hearts in making the right decisions and the best decisions, Lord, that will be best for our county. We ask you these things. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Address the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, appreciate everybody coming out today. Is there any agenda changes?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. I just need to bring you up to date on the Gilchrist County Arena.
Okay. None, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Todd?
None today, sir.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda with the noted change.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Thomas and a second from Commissioner Sharon Langford to approve the agenda with the noted changes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Everyone have an opportunity to look at the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second it.
Okay, I have a
Chairman.
motion from Commissioner Smith and a second from Commissioner Martin to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the North Florida Professional Invoice number 19345 is the final payment.
It has what?
It's the final
Oh,
payment.
the final payment? Okay,
That's for Hard Springs Boat Ramp.
okay. All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Public participation. Anybody like to address the board at this time? You'll have an opportunity now, and you'll have an opportunity at the end of the business tonight. Mr. Todd? State your name for the record, even though we know who you are.
Oh, no. Yep.
Gray, resident of Gilchrist County and business owner. I really wasn't planning to speak today, but as the day went on, it seemed to make more sense. And this is a good thing. I'm not coming to complain. It may sound like a complaint. I think Tuesday, the school board made a mistake in not hiring a good local qualified contractor to build a new elementary school. And I want to say that Mr. Langford, Mr. Newton, they came as individuals, not as county representatives, and they spoke on my behalf. And, you know, disappointing news, I've lost jobs before, so it's nothing new, but this was a big one for our community, and it was very disappointing. So the reason I'm here is to encourage our county to always put your business people first when you can. There's procurement rules and there's things you have to do, but when you have a good qualified local business, there's no reason we should not be using them. As a matter of fact, in this case, the school board used a local ordinance, a state statute that said you can't use a local contractor, which I've never heard of in my life. And when I read it, they misinterpreted that statute. So that was one of their excuses. But anyway, again, just here to encourage y'all in the future. I know you have a number of projects coming up, and if there's a chance to work on the way you procure those projects, I think that as a company, we can be a resource to this board. And many times, like we're doing now for the IFAS facility, it's come in over budget several times, and we have helped work that down to get it as close as we can to budget. There's ways to do that on the front end where it doesn't cost the county, and it moves along a lot quicker. So kind of like a North Florida or one of the other engineers y'all use, we're a resource. So why not use us? We're here, and we can help y'all get these projects in budget. With that, I'll sit down.
Todd, I want to thank you for the Spring Ridge project. I
Yeah,
wrote
Spring Ridge
it a
is
couple
great.
days ago, and it's beautiful.
It is
It's
nice.
beautiful. They did an excellent job, and if people's not happy, they can't be made happy,
No.
I'm telling you.
Last night, it's turned out really nice.
It
did turn out good.
And you really worked with us on that project, you really
Yeah,
did.
thank you for working with us on that.
We're looking forward to doing more. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
And I would have to agree with him 100%. They hire local, subs, their people live here, they work here, they spend their money here. I was very disappointed.
Me too.
Anybody have anything else? Anybody else want to speak? Okay, we'll move on to, constitutional officers.
Lisa Dare, Supervisor of Elections. Again, I think I'm gonna need to. I'm going up there. So I did, reach out to Civic Plus, we did, and got a quote for just my office. And, as you can see, it's still pretty high. I also reached out to Revise. It is quite a bit lower, and, we did a webinar with them, and I feel really confident with this company. There was one other that was a little bit lower, but it was a month-to-month contract, and they've already filled their 10 slots of supervisors that they're gonna hit on. So, Revise would be my recommendation.
Okay. I looked at both of them and they are, the most reasonable one. So I'll make a motion to approve, Revise. Where will this money be? Well, we'll go ahead and make it a second person discuss it.
I'll second. And I don't know if we're ready for discussion yet, but.
Yeah, well, if I understand parliamentary procedure, you have to have a motion and I
And-
have to have a second
Yep.
before we can discuss it.
Yep, that's right. That's
Or
right.
it dies of a lack of a
That's right.
second.
So we
Okay.
got a motion.
So we got a motion by Commissioner Sharon Lane, we got a second by Commissioner Smith, so now we can have our discussion.
Yep. Where's this money gonna come from?
Well, I mean, traditionally, it would come from the constitutional officer's budget. And if the funds aren't available within her budget, then she would come to the board to get additional funds.
Are they available in your, no, okay.
So
So then-
total cost is how much, Lisa?
So to get going will be 9,700 for this year, and then 3,400 each fiscal year for 5 years.
Which is quite a bit less than what
A lot,
the other company.
yeah.
So I know you and I talked earlier and you're pretty confident that they can handle, they're working with some other counties, supervised elections offices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What are you currently paying right now?
2,500.
So we'll just take 25 off of that and then that's what the remaining money you'll
Well,
need?
We've already paid for.
Okay, it's already paid.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because they're starting on December 31st.
Okay.
So the other thing you mentioned, and I don't know if you're ready to talk about it now, but the security and the risk and the audit that you had. And I know it's not exactly this item.
Right.
So, and I know I guess all of our constitutional officers and all of our sites need, the highest level of security. So we don't want anybody tapping in an election or the sheriff's office or the clerk's office or anybody. But one of the things that I mentioned to you is, and I don't know, this might not be the time, but I think we ought to evaluate whether it's better. And I'm sure as constitutional officers, you guys are gonna have your advantages and disadvantages on where we ought to piece this out by office, or should the county, would it be better from an IT standpoint and so we probably don't have time to do that right now, but I would encourage us to get somebody that has that knowledge to evaluate what we're doing and give us recommendations for the longer term on this. And so that's just my input on it.
So Lisa, you won't do this until,
I need to go ahead and get it.
but you're paid up until December 1st, is that what you were saying?
Yes, with the current vendor, but I have to go ahead and pay because it takes 6 to 9 months to build a website.
Okay, so the money that you were budgeted, you've already spent that with the vendor you have, but that'll expire December 31st. So you're preparing for a new vendor and you have to go ahead and get them started so that they'll be ready December the 1st.
Yeah.
So it's going from 2,500 to 700?
No, so the 9,700 includes building a new website.
Oh, okay.
And then it's 3,400 a year, but that's included in the 9,700, right?
So it'll go up $900 a year
Right.
to maintain it and run it and do all that.
Not bad.
stuff.
Mhm.
That's not a bad in today's world. Not too bad. Bad enough, but not too bad.
And I talked to, Damon at lunch related to, and I think your cost is similar probably to what, I don't know what the clerks, Todd, what are your, I'm just curious how we compare it here to everybody.
I believe mine's only $1,500, but I've had it for quite a while.
Okay.
So we would have to do a budget transfer when she comes with her request? Mhm. Mhm.
Bobby, what are we being charged by for the county website?
Probably somewhere if you, I mean, it's charged dispersed throughout the county for different things, probably somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000. If you go into each department and pull it out.
Okay, that's everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
One question, Lisa. On the payment dates, it gives a May 1st date, an 8/1 date,
Yes.
and then a 9/1/2026. Is that supposed to be 2025?
No, that would be 2026, and then the next one would be 27, 28, and 29.
Okay.
That's weird.
anybody have anything else? Any more discussion? We have a motion by Commissioner Sharon Leeper and a second by Commissioner Smith. Hearing no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Thank you for coming back and researching and bringing us a lot better deal.
I'm not done.
Yeah, 'cause that was just, yeah. Now you gotta talk about the
Yeah.
security.
So since taking office, I've been to conferences and meetings and spoken to other SOEs around the state, and a lot of them outsource their IT. I had already thought about it with Stan retiring, putting it in my budget for next year, but 2 weeks ago, the state came in to do a, security assessment of the office. And these are done yearly. I was not privy to the previous year's scores. But, and I do know that this assessment was more detailed than other years, but at the end of the assessment, we scored a 20 out of 100. That's IT, that's everything. Doors, they want me to replace doors, which I've already spoken to Bobby about, getting quotes and whatnot. But I'm not okay with it being at 20%. The fact that we could be, the lady that came said, when something happens, not if something happens. I can't make you do anything, but these are the recommendations. And if you get sued, this will go to court with you. So I feel like we need outside IT. And the company that I've been talking to does 8 other SOEs around us. He's been in business for a long time. And I gave y'all a breakdown of the payments. He said he's willing to work with me in order to get us up to par.
So would that be annual or?
So the only annual would be the 17.5. The OTM Cyberbox, I don't need right now because I have what's called an Albert server, which does the same thing. If I can switch those in the years to come, but the state pays for that, the Albert server. But everything else, if we did the equipment up front, transition costs, and 1 2/3 quarterly payment, if we start in May, you could break down could be 34,831. But he also said that I could just lease the equipment and pay monthly until it's paid for. And that would be 20,983.25.
Did you get any more quotes beside this one?
I didn't because, I have a sole source letter saying that he knows the ins and outs of our office.
Gotcha.
And this is, net it for you?
Mm-hmm.
So Stan is always taking care of security before now?
Yes, he's taken care of our IT before now,
Okay.
and still currently, but, yeah. We're about to
Okay.
do there.
How about Lisa, so based on the evaluation and the assessment from the state, is Dan able to fix some of that?
He could, not without more funds.
And the equipment,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, you are certainly qualified and understand the risk, and I know we don't want a breach of data, I get all that. I just think as a county, we ought to evaluate whether we want everybody, is it more efficient to be outsourcing all of this, or somebody internal, or even an internal person having somebody contract with them to help? And so I don't know that, I don't know enough about it, I just think we ought to ask that question in the future.
I agree. It seems everybody's gotta have it. Elisa gotta have it. Todd's gotta have it. You gotta have it. Damien's gotta have it. Would it be smarter to find a company or an IT guy that takes care of all of it, since he knows it? Instead of everybody, oh, I'm going over here and I'm going over here, and then everybody's got something different, and nobody knows what anybody else is doing, and this guy's not gonna know what's going on in your office, and he's not gonna know what's going on in the property appraiser. I don't know if it would be smarter and if it would be more cost efficient to have someone who takes care of all of it instead of everybody going out and getting their individual vendor. I don't know, maybe your office is unique in a way, and this is the only company that handles the things you do. And maybe the same with the property appraiser, they have a specialty company that does property appraisers. I agree with Daryl, if we could get someone to take care of all of it, it might be a whole lot more cost efficient, and one company would know what's going on instead of having to bit and piece things together with different companies each time. And that I don't know. Is yours special that no one else
I
can
mean,
do it?
No, I mean, there's other companies that can do it, and Stan does it now, and he does, the majority of the offices. Just with him retiring, it really concerns me that somebody new coming in isn't gonna know the ins and outs. But
Yeah.
especially with an election coming up.
Has Stan looked at this, Lisa?
No, but he was in on the assessment, and
Okay.
this guy was in on the assessment too, and they spoke.
Who's our ISP right now? Who our internet service provider? Who is that? Is it with Central Florida, Duke, or
Right.
AT&T, or who are we
We
with?
have
What is
Wi-Fi,
what?
but
We have Wi-Fi.
Okay,
Yeah, we have Wi-Fi, but we have a direct burial from their service.
right.
It's all underground.
Well, I would assume we'd be hiring someone for Stan's position.
We're already trained, so we've
Mhm.
got it, we've already trained someone and he's been working with Stan now probably for a couple of months. He's an internal employee that we already have that has some IT background, actually did a little bit while he was in the military. And, he's, working with Stan, and, so far he's passed every test Stan could give him. He'll actually be setting up a conference call with the state of Florida. Michael's office is the tax collector with the tags and different things. There's some things that he can't mess with and we can't do because state regulates it, and they handle it just like Mr. Newton's clerk side. They don't let us in there, and that's good. We're okay with that. But he's got we're setting up, trying to get a call set up now so he can talk with the people from that handles the driver's license to see and let them kind of evaluate his ability to do this type of stuff too. So, so far, he's been extremely impressive.
I think it might be smart, and I wanna help you out and make sure you're covered, but to at least bring him in on what's going on so that he knows, hey, you look at it and say, oh yeah, we do need this, or no, he's trying to, you don't need that, or at least he knows what's going on, and then maybe he can give recommendations to how it can be done best for the money that we've got, and he might say, no, I don't do that, and we need to give that to another company, and he might say, well, let's bring everybody under one umbrella and try to get a security system that works for everybody. I just thought he might want to at least be shown this and let him use his expertise in it.
We'll definitely look at it with Lisa, and, I've told Lisa this before as well. elections is a kind of a scary thing with everything that goes on anymore when they have elections. So, but they are companies who do, threat assessments that will tell you exactly what you're asking for. What she basically had a threat assessment.
Yeah.
Is what they did for her that day. So we can look at that and see, and also look into this. I know she doesn't have forever to get this done, but at least we don't have an election
No.
right now. So we got a month or two to take a look at it and maybe bring something back. So.
I'd at least like him to take a look at it and,
See if
and
it's
then
something he can do.
give his expertise on it. I mean, if that's his area of expertise, I like to have people who are experts in those things, looking at everything and make sure, and he may look at this and say, oh yeah, this is exactly what we need, but at least he'll know that this is what we're going with, instead of leaving them in the dark on what's going on over there.
You think there's a company out there that could provide security for the whole county, countywide, every department, every office?
We have a county IT, I just need to be sure. I don't want our county to end up on the news.
No.
No, and I don't want you to either, but I wanna do it in a way that is most efficient and that is, but no, I want you to have the best we can get for the money.
Mhm.
I just think if he's the guy in charge of this, he ought to at least know this is going on.
Cause he may have to work with it.
Because he's gonna have to work with it at some time or another, or he may have to work on it at one time or another, and it'd be nice for him to at least know what's going on over there, so.
And
That
with,
would be my
we can
recommendation, is
evaluate.
at least bring him in, and then at the next meeting, and with his advice and her advice and everything we've heard now, we can say, hey, yeah, this is what we need to do, go with it.
and with election integrity today, we're gonna have to have as much as we can get, cause we don't wanna have no problems.
So, Bob, what I heard was we're gonna try to get back at the next meeting, or?
Give
Are
it,
you wanting me to meet with the guy that's coming in, Stan, and the guy that's coming in?
I want you to meet with the guy who's coming in, if he's gonna be the one that's overlooking security for everybody else and for the courthouse. I want him to at least know what you've got, and he can look at it, and if he's an expert at it, he ought to be able to look at it and say, oh, no, that's good price, that's right what we ought to get, we need this. And if he says all that, then man, he's the expert, I'm ready to go with it. And then he knows what's in there. And like he said, if there is a company that can do everybody, and we can get a better deal because everybody is in it, and he can supply you with the security you need, then there might be a way for us to save lots of money instead of him paying 10 and us paying this, and, you know.
Yeah, but do we have
everybody's
is there a
taken care of.
problem right now in other departments? Is there a problem right now?
I don't know, that's,
Mr. Crosby, are you aware? Do we have any problems right now?
no, I mean, and
Cause I don't wanna be paying something when we don't have a
Well-
problem in other departments.
Miss Lisa's got a very good concern.
Hers is a little different. I mean.
Yeah, you know, you
about
got
voting.
elections, and I think if I remember correctly, Stan has a firewall up for us as well. He has it backed up in another state. We meet all of that criteria. The court stuff, like I said, they protect their own stuff. We don't have to worry about the court thing. The sheriff has his own. They protect their own, which they work with FDLE, and they work with other systems too that work with them. We know anything can happen because we came in one morning and it had happened to us a few years back. But, you know, I don't want anybody to think we're saying that Lisa doesn't need this or doesn't need some of it. What I want to just be sure we can do is we can assist with it, because these people are not always here, which you can log in. They need something, and there may be some of these items that she needs to purchase on here that, you know, I think we have a server somewhere, if there's one in here. I hadn't had a chance to go through one, but there may be a few things that we can install to maybe help bring the cost down.
that's what I was hoping, that he
and
could
so,
look at it and say.
You know, I'm not an IT person. I'm
Me
the
neither.
get guy of the IT. It's, you know, go get it.
Yeah.
But, you know, but I'm not saying our people can do this to what they've gotta have here to do it, but what I'm saying, at least we can look, see where we can help, where we can assist,
That's right.
and
where I
that
was
type of
going
thing.
with that.
I don't know with everybody we're gonna need to meet with, we can actually get that done in a couple of weeks. So just let us get this done, and we'll do it quick as we can, and then we'll bring it back before the board and do that. I mean, we say 2 weeks, but by the time you get back and you gotta get ready for the next agenda, you got about 7-8 days is what you have. It's really.
Lisa, you saying that you don't think you need the fiber box to replace Albert with? Did you say you don't think you need that fiber box?
So no, I don't need the OTM cyber box because I have the Albert server right now. We're trying to get the state to allow us to switch out the Albert and the OTM, and the state pays for that.
That's $15,000 right there.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what some of the things, and there may even be some grants that I can look at real
Well,
quick.
what I was wondering is, has there been discussion statewide as far as potential state money to help with any of
We're
this?
thinking we might have a security grant come out at some point. I don't see it happening this year, but, I am on the lookout for that.
You okay with waiting 2 weeks?
We can wait.
Okay.
Should I lay it on the table, report back in 2 weeks, or just not?
Well, I don't even think y'all made a motion on this, did you?
No,
So
we don't
we
need a
can-
motion.
If that's the general consensus of the board, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody agree?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. We appreciate
Yeah.
what you're doing, and we, but trust me, I want you to be secure as you can be, but I want to make sure everybody knows what's going on also. Thank you.
Any other constitutional officers? Okay, we'll move to the county administrator.
Yes, sir. My agenda starts with, item number 7. It is an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with Another Way, Inc. As you know, Mr. Clemens has been working on the community paramedic program, and we had made mention that we are required to have, the MOUs for when he works with these different agencies per the CP program and the grant qualifications. So we just need approval. This has been reviewed by Mr. Lang as well, and also Another Way has reviewed it too, correct? And, so we just need approval of this memorandum of understanding. If you have any questions about Another Way, I'll let Mr. Clemens answer those questions, but other than that.
Yeah, I'd make a motion, we approve the MOU with Another Way, Inc.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Thomas. Open it up for discussion. Anything?
So, we partnered with these people, this organization. That organization already in the past, they're very valuable to our community.
And they're out of Lake City.
Their head offices, they
Yeah.
have shelter.
Just another step in the, just another step in the right direction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this one's a little
Just-
different from a standpoint that normally we require public records compliance to be imposed in here, but there's a Florida statute, section 39.908, entitled confidentiality of information received by the Department of Domestic Violence Centers, that they can't release any information concerning domestic violence. They can't even release information that they're seeing, give any kind of name. So that you'll notice this is a little bit shorter agreement because we have taken out that public records compliance and stated that this agreement here falls under that statute that I quoted.
Just as a follow-up as well, this, like the other MOUs, does not have any cost to the county.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay,
Everything working good with you, Skip? I think that's a good program. you can
Yep,
get.
very good
Yeah,
program.
he's doing a great job
We're
too.
building. Thank y'all for helping.
yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
The next item I have is under emergency management. We went out to bid for disaster debris removal companies. Of course, this is the companies that come in and remove the debris. Even though FDOT picked that up for us this year, it is very helpful if we have our own company already, chosen. They were 9 submittals. All we need to do today is, if the board agrees, we'd like to appoint a committee for review of these 9 submittals. Of course, I'd like to recommend, of course, Mr. Ralph Smith, our emergency management director, clerk, Mr. Todd Newton, and myself, and maybe if one commissioner would mind sitting on
I've done it before and don't mind doing it again unless somebody else wants to experience it. I would be willing to move aside, but if not, I don't mind doing it.
I like volunteers.
Okay. I would do it.
Anybody have a problem with Bill
No, I feel
serving on
good
that
thing.
committee?
So Mr. Bill Martin? Commissioner Martin?
Now, what will you do, Bobby? Rank them and or try to decide the top three or something?
We'll rank them and then, we'll probably bring back the top three, and we normally get at least 2 under contract. We can put 3 under contract. The beauty of these, they don't cost us anything unless
Right.
we have to use them.
Right.
And so, you know, and one of the things, a lot of times you would have thought for 4 or 5 years, you could have one, because we didn't have any storms. But now the storms just seem to be more and more, so it might be wise to have definitely have more than one, possibly even 3, in case of just having the backlog and we can get someone.
Okay. Do you need a motion for that?
Do we need a motion
I
for that?
I would suggest we have a motion for the minutes.
I move to
Appoint the
set a
committee?
committee up of 4 people to, pick our disaster debris removal services. To have a disaster removal service committee. I guess is that what we're doing? We're doing
Not,
a
not to
committee
actually
or
pick, but to make recommendations for the board's
Right.
approval of the top three.
Make recommendations for the
And
board.
the appointment of Mr. Martin as the
Okay.
liaison from the board.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Martin and a second from Mr. Sharon Langford to, appoint a, disaster service removal and disposal service committee, consisting of Todd Newton, Ralph Smith, Bobby Crosby, and Bill Martin, serving, representing the board, and bring back a recommendation to the board. Okay, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
The next item is, if you remember, we had the crusher rebuilt. And we had back on October the 21st, we presented a quote with a 20% residual, and with that residual, the amount come to $138,764.06. That's $138,764.06. The total cost of the repair came to $142,197.33, which is roughly $3,500 over the approval amount. The reason for this, there were some internal items, even with the 20% residual, that they had to replace that they couldn't see until they got it apart. I did speak with a gentleman who did it, or Rodney and I did, and what we had done with him, there was, we actually had the machine for 4 additional days in the next month, which would have been a total of $3,714 for that rental. He agreed to waive that rental. So actually, we come out to $281, a little better, you know. One or the other, it's still $142,197, but he did waive that so that we didn't have that on top of it. I will tell you this, the machine's been in operation now for a month, maybe a little bit better, and it's working well. And if you remember, the price that we received for a new one was anywhere from about $700,000 to $850,000. So it's worked out real well.
And by us crushing our own rock, we're saving how much compared to buying?
You know,
A lot.
when I walked in here today, I knew I know this, when I did the numbers on the average loads we were crushing, the 26,000 a month we were paying in rental, we saved more money than that by crushing it ourselves, so, and by crushing our own rock, so it's a huge.
Rock's expensive.
Yeah, it is.
The only thing, as I was looking at the bill and comparing it to the estimate, the bill does have a pickup and delivery charge and a shipping charge that they didn't put on their original estimate. And I guess that kind of confused me because that's something that they should.
I asked him about that. He said they don't normally put those on the estimates, and what they do is use contract trucking to do it. Cause I said, man, why didn't you put that on there?
Yeah, because that's almost the difference.
Yeah,
of what
you
was
know.
approved, but
So, and then you had to put one of the big things on there. They wound up having to put a new flywheel in it because the other one was scarred so bad they couldn't turn it out. So that's $5,800 right there as well too. The good thing is they already had it apart, so it wasn't any labor, it was just the additional part. So, and then there was a liner that had to be replaced that when they went to take the bolts out, a lot of the bolts were sheared or broken, and just the type of work that machine does is very abrasive.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad to know you got it back for that price and it's working very good instead of having to buy a $700,000.
Yeah. So I move to approve the invoice, 5591 to, Finlay Eastern, for a rock crusher.
Second. Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Thomas to pay invoice 5591 in amount of $142,000. Let's get to the bottom here. $42,197.33 for the repair of the rock crusher. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
The next item I have is a resolution, number 2025-12. I'll read the title, but before I do, I kind of want to let you know what this is for. As you know, we had talked about one time, we just kind of briefly mentioned it, adding some lighting to some of our intersections or crossroads where we have a lot of accidents or possible to help light them up. In the process of doing that, there's several more we'll be talking about probably maybe later through the budget process. There was 14 that adjoined FDOT responsibility roads, US 129, State Road 47, State Road 26. So the thought came to me, well, they help pay for our signal lights and all maintenance. What would they pay for on this? So I reached out to them and they agreed to pay the electrical fee for these lights each year. In this case, they pay for 14 lights, they will pay us $4,870.46. Our annual power rate on these with Central Florida will be $3,985.80. So it comes out a little bit to the good. The other is these lights will be like a normal street light. So if it blows or goes out, we'll just contact Central Florida Electric. They'll come do the repair to it for us.
Are these all the flashing lights that have been
No,
put
sir.
on the stop signs?
These are just regular street lights that are gonna be put to light up an intersection.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yes, sir.
Now,
Just
who-
like you'll see in some of, up and down some of the major roads.
Okay.
We will have roughly, we have to help pay for the initial install. So we'll have roughly $840 in that, but as you can see, we'll come close to saving that, in our first year in the power bills, the difference in the payment. In order for us to enter into this agreement, they require a resolution. We already have one signal, agreement with them that we do each year that they pay us back. And this would be for the lighting for those intersections. I do want to say also, I reached out to the FDOT, talked to the gentleman. He said, send him an email. And the next thing I know, I'm getting a contract back. So they were very, very supportive of this program and helping with it. And the FDOT does a lot of great things for us, so they've been very supportive. But I'll read at this time, unless somebody's got a question, I'll read the title and the resolution.
Well, just to make sure I understand it, so DOT is gonna help with the light bill.
Mhm.
We're gonna help with the light bill, and then there'll be a little bit of wash right there. We'll come out good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we're gonna pay for the initial install, which would be about $800.
About 840.
So we're basically gonna get the lights for nothing, if you wanna call it that, real close to nothing.
Right.
And in Central Florida, if we have one to go out, they will come and,
They'll do
we
the
won't have
repair.
to do it.
Just like
They'll-
if you had a street light in your yard, you just
Right.
call them, they come
Right.
repair. That's the way these will work.
And then Central Florida would come replace it for us.
Yes, sir.
Is that $800 per light?
No, that's for all 14.
Okay. When I saw that, I thought, wow, that's pretty good for 14 of them for $800 a piece. I thought there must be a misprint. It
Well,
might be
but-
$800 a piece, but it's not.
Their
That's really
fee
good.
includes a rental, so it's all,
Oh, okay.
so we-
Would Central Florida just charge us to replace that, or would that be, them, us buying from them, electricity from them? In other words, if they had to replace a street light, do they charge for that?
They do. Once you initially install it, then it's all on them.
All of them, okay,
Mhm.
good.
Yes, sir.
Well, if it would keep from accidents
Oh,
happening
yeah.
at some of these intersections, I think it's really
Good
a
deal.
great thing, and I know I hit a few intersections at night coming back that, if I didn't know they were there, I could very easily run through them, but since I know they're there, I'm looking for them.
You live here, other people know.
And what,
Yeah, and so, I think it's a great idea, so with that, I move to approve resolution number 2025-12.
You still need to read it.
Need to read it.
Okay, let you read it, I read it myself, but go
Have you
ahead.
got a question, Mr. Newton, before I read it?
this will be, something we have to do annually, right?
Yes, sir.
An annual agreement.
Yeah, be an annual agreement, yes, sir.
Okay.
Just like the, lighting agreement that we do. Same thing, but they do it on a separate one for some reason. Yes, sir. Resolution number 2025-12, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, authorizing the board to enter into an agreement to the State Highway Lighting Maintenance and Compensation Agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, authorizing the county administrator to execute such agreement and all future amendments to the agreement perpetually until the end of the agreement term and providing an immediate effective date.
Let's take it, be with me.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner, Martin to, pass resolution number 2025-12, and we have a second from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
On this note, I have had a lot of people comment about the flashing lights that have been put out, how much they appreciate that too. So they're very visible, especially at night, and it's nice to have them, so.
Probably be seeing a few more too.
Are those battery charged? Are those on a battery? Is that?
Yes, sir. They are batteries, but they have a little charging system in. So the solar charges the batteries during the day and then they work through the night.
Okay, great.
Yeah. The one thing that I had an agenda change, and it was about the Gilchrist County Arena. As of April the 1st, the arena is now back in the hands of the county. Mr. Jason Jones no longer wants to do that. I know we need to kind of figure out how we're gonna handle it, how you want to do it. What I would like to do, if the board is agreements with this, one thing I'd like to do, especially with the Ag Extension Building fixing to be built down there, I'd like to kind of get with Jessica, see what kind of plans or what they might have. And then maybe sometime in the near future, we may want to put together, a committee or something to just maybe review how we want to use it and the way we want to use it. That building, it can be used very wisely and very good, but you've got some things you've got to look at. There are definitely some ADA compliances that are not met there. And, so we got to consider all that, I think, before you want to just jump out and say, hey, let's start renting it. Because I think there could be some liability issues.
Can we try to get a grant to, get it up to compliance?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've tried 2 or 3 times to get, but we haven't tried in a while, so we
So let's
can't.
try to do that,
Right,
yeah.
we can try again. And I think what might help us there, and I just thought of this today, actually. I think with the sheriff's deal being there now, we have all these legislatures and stuff coming, that when next time they're there, we need to say, hey, we need to get money for fans and appropriations. We need to get money for this. So they love coming there and they like using it. So let's use that to our advantage as well too.
Yeah.
And, but yes, I think we need to kind of get a cost of what that would be. And then let's look at working for a grant.
Yeah. get
I'm
some
even
grant.
gonna ask our, Mr. Fox if a FERDAP grant will work for that as well. I'm not sure, I'm sure, I feel like we could consider that somehow under Florida recreational program for a grant. So
Yeah.
we've got several ideas, but, I don't want us to move quickly in making these decisions so that we can make the correct decisions. I'm not your attorney, but you got some liabilities down there.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to be your attorney either.
Bobby, I like the idea of a committee, a small committee of representatives of, say, the FFA alumni, or I know there's folks out there that want to provide input and want to use the facility, and so getting that and making sure everybody's kind of on the same page and having a plan sounds like a good idea. And having Jessica and Tyler there for extension will be a big help as well.
Well, it was a good run with Jason,
That's right.
running the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't had no trouble with that place since they took it over.
When I first started, we had a lot of problems with it. When he took it over, they kind of went away, but, I guess it's one thing.
I do want to ask one question, if it's the general consensus until we can get back. I mentioned it, but, is the board agreeable that we don't rent that for right now until we can make some decisions moving forward?
Yeah,
Because we don't even have a program to
Yeah.
rent it. Okay, all right, thank you.
and I'd like to see a committee put together that's in charge of that, instead everything comes to this board, we have to make decisions on who gets it and who don't.
And I've gotten used to it not coming to the county administrator's office too, so I'd like to have a
Yeah.
committee that.
But I'd like to
You
move
do all right.
forward on it. I don't wanna sit on it for a long time. We may have, I know part of the old agreement was the FFA chapters could use it for an event if they needed to, and if they came and wanted to use it, I wanna be able to make it available
Absolutely.
for them to do it, so. I'd like to keep moving on it though, but yeah, I don't have a problem with not renting it out until we get the committee together.
That completes my report today, unless there's something, you have a question at this time.
Okay, Mr. Lane?
Yeah, my report is, quite brief this week. We have two items that we need to consider. Ms. Patrice Boyce, who represents the county, with the issue, concerning the dairy, as well as with the issue concerning the Jenny Springs agreement that we've been working on, has decided to switch firms, and she's leaving the Stearns Weaver law firm. And she's not leaving, she's already left as of, March the 28th. She's going to the Holtzman, Vogel, Barron, Tuschinski, and Joseph PLLC. But anyway, she has been representing us. She wishes to continue representing us, and we have to get a non-representation letter executed from Stearns Weaver so that they can transfer the files. I've taken the liberty to check the two blocks on page 2 of the thing. Well, that's the engagement letter there. I'm looking at the disengagement letter from Stearns Weaver. Yes. The first one says, I want this matter and any unused advance fee or trust account balances be transferred to Patrice Boyce of Holtzman, Vogel, Barron, etc. That is in the local dairy case with the SUPs that are ongoing. The second matter is the ongoing negotiations with Jenny Springs Resort for binding operations and safety agreement. Same deal. She wants that transferred from Stearns to her new firm. That being said, that has to be executed. If the board agrees to do that, then there's an engagement letter with her new firm, Holtzman Vogel. The fee that they're charging is the same as we've agreed to with the other law firm, with the Stearns law firm, and the paralegal rate is the same. They do have a couple of little additional fees in there. I don't know that we'll necessarily utilize associate attorneys, but they have a rate in there for them at $3.75 an hour if they do utilize them. That's the only difference that I see between the two engagement letters, and that would be my recommendation as we continue with Ms. Boyce.
So she would be still representing us, but with a different law firm?
Absolutely, and that's the
And,
only.
and they're asking us to just transfer her
That's
paperwork?
exactly right. And there's an advantage also because she's still in Gainesville.
Yeah,
And her intent was to go to Tampa to, and I think she ran into some issues with selling her house there and getting to Tampa. And this firm here, the way she explained it to me, will allow her to continue to work out of her home office in Gainesville, even though they're remotely located, which makes her more convenient to you here.
she's also good, and she's also familiar with
Well,
Gilchrist
she's
County.
Oh,
familiar with the
absolutely.
case Instead of having to bring somebody up and
Well,
doing up to date. so.
And she's deeply involved because
Yeah.
we've been involved with this dairy thing, since, June or July.
Mhm.
And Jenny Springs has been since about
Yeah.
October, November.
I have a question, is the Jenny Springs, are we paying for Jenny Springs, or is Jenny Springs reimbursing us the cost of the lawyer for, I figure this lawyer's taking care of their business, are we paying for
They're
that?
paying
or-
their fee and we're paying our fee. We're paying our fee for Ms. Boyce. They're paying their fee. And the reason it is, it's a negotiated agreement because they had an existing existing SUP site plan approval out there, which didn't have a lot of teeth in it. And then some of the incidences that have occurred, we're trying to rein that in and get some rules. And they've actually, through her help,
Fix it, say.
have adopted quite a few voluntary, things out at the Springs as well, to try to make it more family friendly as opposed to the old
Are
situation.
we close to a final agreement so that we're not dragging this thing out?
We would have probably had a final agreement, to be perfectly honest with you, except the lawyers representing Jenny Springs we've had a hard time pinning them down. Now we have, my understanding, another conference, and hopefully the last conference is gonna be April the 24th, between Bobby and myself, Miss Boyce, and the lawyer from their, law firm, she's associated with Rogers Towers Law Firm in Jacksonville. So hopefully we're getting close to the end on that. The drafts, I think they've probably done, I know they've done at least 2 and maybe 3 drafts that have been back and forth with everyone. And there's a lot of issues to consider.
I'm sure there are.
There really are.
Just at $600 an hour, I wanna make
Well,
sure this doesn't
doesn't-
drag out to a
doesn't take
lot
long
more
for it.
hours.
That's a little bit more than your county attorney.
Yeah, well, a little bit more than I think most people in this room, so,
That's right. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, we need a motion to, execute the disengagement letter from the Stearns Weaver Law Firm, and then a separate motion to approve the Holtzman Vogel Law Firm with Ms. Patrice Boyce.
So we're gonna approve the transfer letter, and then we're gonna approve the engagement.
Yes, sir. That's
I
the
make a
proper way to
motion
do
to
it.
approve the transfer letter.
Okay.
second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith and a second from Commissioner Thomas to approve the transfer letter for Ms. Bowles and her, representatives. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
I make a motion to approve the engagement letter.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion for Commissioner Martin and a second from Commissioner Thomas to approve our engagement letter that's been presented for, again, Ms. Patricia Bowles and, her representative law firms. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chairman, if it's at all possible, I'd like to ask Ms. Karen if she could get that to me tomorrow, so that we don't lose any time on the representation with the transfer, because I'll have to get that before they release the files to the Tampa law firm, Stearns Law Firm, and then immediately send the engagement letter to Ms. Boyce with the request they send those files over to her. Okay?
Okay, that's
Thank you.
it.
That's all.
Mr. Todd?
Yes, sir. So, all I have today is a budget recap. As you can see, this is through April 4th. We've got a little over half the year behind us. In the general fund, we've had year-to-date expenditures of just over $17 million with year-to-date revenues of $14,349,000. In fire, we've had year-to-date expenditures of almost $703,000 with year-to-date revenues of $1,435,000. In transportation, we've got year-to-date expenditures of $1,833,000 versus revenues of $1,715,000. In EMS, year-to-date expenditures, $1,235,000 versus revenues of $1,720,000. And in solid waste, we've got year-to-date expenditures of almost $564,000 versus revenues of almost $932,000. In solid waste, our revenues are actually considerably higher, or they're higher than normally this time of the year. But expenditures seem to be running pretty well. EMS, in looking at projections, we see some potential concerns there on the expenditure side. And
What, I mean, what does that cause from? If we budget, I mean, were we overspending or what's going on there?
there's a number of things that could cause it. Our personnel costs are a little higher, and I don't know if that's partly due to the increase in, we added a squad truck, correct? So I don't know if that's part of it, just, adjusting to the additional vehicle.
Can we try to figure out, I mean, what's going on? That way we can try to
We can.
get ahead of it so we won't, spend more money in that department?
Yes, ma'am. And again, transportation, we are continuing to watch that. Expenditures are a little on the high side, but, other than that, I mean, I think everything is fairly in line with where it should be.
And this has nothing to do with it, but while it's on my mind, I wanted to bring it up. Because we were talking about the ambulances and stuff. I know we had an ambulance in an accident, a week or so ago. First, is everybody okay from the accident? No, is the ambulance usable or is it gonna be fixed? It's totaled? Was it one of
No,
our
no, no.
brand new ones?
It'd be rare, it's, I don't know just what all components, but like the grill guard, a fender, probably the grill, maybe the hood, but it's repairable, and the, other company that the person who hit us, they've already accepted responsibility for the accident, so they're paying for the accident.
Okay, and was it one of our new trucks that got in the accident?
Okay.
Well,
But yes, sir, of course,
was.
you never wreck an old one. Get new tires, you get a flat tire, drop the old one.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad everybody's okay.
Yeah,
From it. I just had wondered if it was one of our
Brand new.
brand new ones that we just, you get something brand new and you like to keep it looking brand new as long as you can, and after an accident,
Yeah.
it's no longer brand new.
well, and that's one of the good things about us even having some of the older ones and keeping them up to date and in service. We're able to bring those out, cause, you can, a lot of equipment you can rent, but you can't rent ambulances. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have one, you don't have one. So, by having some of those, we can,
Yeah.
that's very,
Yeah,
Very
Bobby,
helpful.
I think I mentioned to you, but some people provide questions about why do we have several extra, those old ambulances, and that's the reason. If you have one or two go down, you gotta get it backed up.
we have had times before, it could just be a flat tire, it could be, this one's in service and for brakes, that basically you may have 3 vehicles in the shop, and if you didn't have backups, very seldom do you have 3, but I've seen it happen. And,
Be pretty sad if you call for an ambulance and we say we don't have one
Huh? Sorry, we don't have one
we're
right
changing the
now.
oil in it, can you hang on a minute?
Yeah.
in the shop. I don't think that'd work too good.
All right, I'm sorry, it was on my mind, I wanted to say it
That's
before I
fine.
slipped out of it.
Good time to ask.
Anything else, Mr. Newton?
No, that concludes my report, sir.
Now, these like, let's just say solid waste, they're up on the receipts. That's everything they receive, that's, tipping fees and that's
Correct.
everything, the one that we get, that we pay annually, that's a whole 9 yards. Every dime that they've collected so far, that comes to a total right there.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Even if we got state money, if we already got it, it would be included in there. Do we get any state money for solid waste?
We don't get a lot for solid waste.
Not
but
much.
There's a little bit, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, anybody got anything else? Well, we'll go to our commissioner reports. Mr. Sharon?
Yeah, I know right now there's 7 counties and 2 cities that Doge, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly there. They came in and the governor's requesting people to volunteer. They just come in to make sure, there's nothing, no spending that, that we shouldn't be doing, and then just look at the county, Bay County, Citrus, Hillsburg, Jefferson, Putnam, Sarasota, Walton County. Those are the 7 counties so far. I would like for us to, be one of those counties, just that way we can, reassure just, our taxpayers that we are not wastefully spending money. If they could come in and evaluate us also.
What's the price tag up?
It's free, as far as I think it's free, but I can find out more.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'll find out more information.
I know Todd and Richard have gotten a request from the governor's office already. We're providing them information. It's not like
Yeah.
we want them to come look and tell us, give us
Mhm.
suggestions on what we need to do to improve, so.
Yeah, FAC is actually working on this as well. They have somebody within their, within the organization that's, kind of helping to coordinate some things as well, so.
Do you want me to reach out to the governor's office, or is that something you'll ask them? You tell them?
I mean, I can look into it and find out
Okay.
what we need to do.
Yeah,
Um,
and bring
you
that
know,
back to.
I mean, I will say this, you know, I think we do our best to try and, you know, I think we've always been on the Doge program. But at the same time, I mean,
always good
it's
to
not
have
to say
some
that we
look.
can't, do better.
Sure.
But, you know, I think we've always attempted to spend our money wisely.
Yep.
But
Our budget compared to Miami-Dade's a little different than
Yeah,
ours.
yeah.
Quite a bit
I
different.
listen to those counties and I'm thinking those are huge counties and they're gonna come to Gilchrist and go,
Yeah, Miami County.
How do y'all get by?
yeah, how y'all get by?
I've got a question, Sharon.
Yes, sir.
Audit report we do every year, don't find, cover.
Oh, well, I mean,
We doing stuff right.
Oh, yeah.
it-
well, so.
we just. wanna
Yeah,
add-
auditing, I mean,
another
an audit
layer.
purpose is to look for fraud. You know, I mean, they do look at potential waste and abuse, but, you know, their primary issue is that they're looking at fraud and they're looking to make sure that your financials, line up with, you know, that your books are good.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's what they're looking for. You know, a board has the discretion to do certain things, you know, as long as they budget for it, long as you follow your procedures and things like that. You know, Doge is a little bit different. Doge
Yeah.
is really digging in and saying, you know,
Yeah.
you know, are you spending your money the smartest way? You did it legally, but is that the smartest way to do it?
Yeah.
You know, when I look at, you know, how they're doing things, you know, in the federal, and now, you know, in the state, I mean, I think that's what it is, you know, are you spending money on programs that don't make sense? Are you spending money on items that are not for, you know, the public good? You know, and the audit, that is part of it, you know, making sure that you're spending money for public purpose.
But the audit would basically say, okay, you
Right.
said you was gonna buy 2 new vehicles and you show here you bought 2 new vehicles. The audit says, well, that matches up.
Right.
Right.
But the other organization says, you spent $8 million on sex habits of a mouse, you don't need to be doing that.
Right.
So that's what they're looking for is, corruption and fraud and.
Sure.
I mean, I
and
don't think,
Programs that you
I mean,
don't
we
need.
don't
have any, but.
no,
No,
but I
we
mean,
don't.
does it hurt to see, you know, if they recommend something that we can do better at? I mean, I always like to try to do better at things, you know?
Absolutely.
We can never be perfect, but we can always strive to, do better.
If they find something and recommend it,
Yeah.
I would be. for it.
And,
So what they
Uh,
might do is, I think, Richard, you and the group, Todd, had put together, we talked about operating budget last time, and, you know, the amount, we've got a summary, I think it's a very good summary. It tells us operating by category, and it totals 20 million roughly. And our ad valorem revenue is around 11.3. And so, you know, there's talk about at the state level reducing or eliminating that, and that's about 60% of our operating budget. And so I think they would probably look at that and say, well, we're gonna shut that county down if we end up doing that. Or they might look at categories and say they're high or they're in range for those things, and so I think it's a good
Yeah.
idea. So,
Yeah. Last thing, Mr. Crosby, is Heart Springs having an Easter egg hunt this year? Cause I went last year's, but I haven't seen anything. There's nothing been on social media or anything, and I was just curious.
Yes, ma'am, they are, to answer your question.
When is it gonna be?
What that?
Easter egg hunt party.
Can we
Yes.
put something on Facebook?
Well, Miss Caitlin created a Facebook post and I'm supposed to review them and actually she sent it to me last week and I haven't responded to her. So I'll have to take the blame for that.
When
But
will it
yes,
be?
it was fine. Yeah.
And I'll post it right.
And that was April 18th.
April 19th?
19th,
from 9 to 11.
I think that was one of those messages I typed and thought I typed, but I didn't type.
I hadn't seen anything, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
on a Saturday.
Yeah,
Bobby's buying all the eggs.
Yeah.
I gotta take the granddaughter again.
Shoot, eggs is worth a lot of money nowadays. There will be plastic eggs.
Yeah, there was plastic eggs last year.
Anything else,
That's it.
Mr. Smith?
I was gonna just commend staff for, Ms. Donna, Ms. Pat, and Ralph and Brian and Bobby, the rural county days, several of us went up to Tallahassee where 30 or 40 counties set up a booth outside in the courtyard around the Capitol, and they just did a great job, I think, of putting all that together and promoting Gilchrist County, and gives us an opportunity to talk to people, network, and also was able to present in support of Senator Bradley's solar bill. Bobby and I and several of us went to her committee and gave our perspective on solar. And it also went to the House, and I know Tommy was able to speak there as well in support of that bill.
And Chris Doolin did
That's
a
right.
real good job
The
too,
State
speaking on our behalf.
Association, and Chris Doolin has been helping us with that. So we'll see where it goes. They changed that solar bill from repealing it, giving it back to the county totally, to, in the House committee, it would just be including information related to decommissioning and
I noticed it.
a bond or guarantee that it's cleaned up at the end.
And return back to the previous
Land use, right.
use, land
So
use.
we won't get the decision if we want it or not then?
Well, it's still in the works,
Okay.
and, but it got changed quite a bit in the House side, and
Okay.
what I was told is to keep the discussion going, then that's what they had to do. And so that's how that works. But we've had the discussion at that level and gotten lots of support from other counties, and so that was, part of the goal was to get awareness level up, and I hopefully the power companies are gonna consider all this, and we'll see where it ends up.
I think Chris mentioned there's two more committees that it has to go before, but, Chris Doolin's done a fantastic job in supporting the Senate, and we've talked to a lot of people, even Terry Burrows from the, president of the Florida Association of Counties supports us. And, a lot of counties, smaller counties especially, have supports us, so I don't know what we'll get out of it, but I just want everybody in Gilchrist County to know that they know how we feel about it and what we're fighting for, whether we get it or not. Maybe we'll get something out of it. We'll get discussion if nothing else. But,
Gilchrist County, the way I understand it, want to do the initiative.
They are.
Get started.
We
what's
are,
that?
we are the county that
Yeah.
took the first
Oh, yeah.
initiative to move it
Yeah.
on. So everything that's happened out there is because we opened our big mouths first.
Well, I certainly appreciate, Daryl and Bobby and them all helping us, and,
Yep.
and, I did tell the committee how, how we feel, and I'm not done. I'm gonna keep telling them how we feel about it, because, their goal, from what I understand, their goal is to have 700,000 acres of solar farms in the state of Florida. And, the unanswered question is, how many are we gonna have in Gilchrist County? And, nobody can answer that, so hopefully we'll get somewhere and get something, but I appreciate everybody's
Thank
work.
you.
Everybody agrees that agriculture is important, private property rights are important. It's just figuring out the number our county can handle without losing all that kind of stuff. And, so anyway, we've had that discussion.
Mhm.
I was gonna, I appreciate Todd being here, and, I think if we don't have a policy related to local businesses' preferences, we ought to consider that. And, when we bid things, I don't know how we would exactly do that, but
We actually have a.
We have
Yeah,
one.
yeah, we have a policy. I talked to Bobby about that. We do
We
have.
passed that policy years ago.
We did.
Sure.
We sure did.
very good.
Encouraging people to do business at home and use local
Mm-hmm.
business.
Yeah. The other thing I was gonna ask Bobby, I know the road department's doing lots of good work. They're beginning to make their way around the county with a lime rock, the asphalt mixer, lime rock mixer. And if you could, or Rodney, come give an update on where you're at and kind of what your schedule is. And I'm looking forward to them getting them in District 3 at some point. We do appreciate everything they're doing. They always respond, and it's not weeks, it's days or the
Yeah,
same
usually
day.
very quick.
Yeah. That's all I've got.
Okay, Mr. Martin?
I'm in good shape. I wanna, personally apologize for not being at the last workshop. I just did not take the initiative to find out when it was gonna be, and And, actually had the day clear, and then the bus garage called and said, hey, we need some drivers. We got 8 people out with funerals and sickness and flu, and could you please run a route? And I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. And as I was driving to pick up the route, I got the call from Bobby, so I'm sorry I, was not available, but at that point in time, I couldn't call the bus garage back and say, oh, sorry, I can't be there either, because, so I did that, but I have looked at it online. I heard everything that went on. I thought there was some good discussion, and interested in seeing what else can be done, with that. So,
I told him it only cost him $500.
just only 500, so I said, well, just put it on the account there, and the account that I don't have a $500 right now, but no, everything else, we've gotten lots of nice little rains that have helped the roads, and the graders be able to do things. I have had a few people call, and the road department have taken care of those things fairly quick. I think there is a problem with one thing, and I've talked with Bobby about it before. There was a tree that fell during the storm in front of, Smith's house, yeah. And, everybody keeps passing it on to the next person. Well, it's not our responsibility, it's their responsibility. It seems to have been passed around a lot. Well, it's on their property, but it wasn't on their property until we pushed it onto their property. So I would like to see if we can get something to take care of that. And I've mentioned
been
it to
by
them, and
there?
I think they're going, it's a huge tree, and it's gonna take a lot of
Where's
carving
this
up
at?
to the- This is in front of Smith's house.
When the,
going to
when
Sun
the,
Springs.
when
I'm
the
going to Hot
contractor was
Springs.
out there and they cut that down, they had equipment, they were somehow, I don't know how, anyway, we're gonna get it. But I'll double check on that, cause I know they were talking about the other day bringing the front end loader, cause
Yeah.
they were gonna have
It's
to bring.
huge. It's
they
gonna
were
take
going
a
to
lot
bring
of
the big
wind to
loader
get
to
it
get
down
it.
to be
Yeah.
handleable. And that's why I think a lot of people have kind of pushed it on to the next person, because it's gonna take a lot
It's
of
a
work to
haul.
get rid of it. It's massive.
Yeah.
And, but other than that, everything's been great, so I'm real happy with everything. In driving the school bus, I got to, that day the meeting went on, I drove my district. So I got a chance to drive a school bus through my district over around, the Fannin Springs area. And, so it gave me a truck driver's, bus driver's view of what they have to go through with the roads, and I was very pleased that most of the roads were in great shape. So, it was a good trip in that sense also, so. But yeah, everything's good.
So you were kind of on duty?
I was kind of on duty, even though I wasn't here on duty.
You're checking out your roads in your
Yeah, just
district.
checking out the roads in my district.
Commissioner Thomas?
Everything's good with me.
Okay. I just have a couple things. The Dollar General, I talked to them, and I think I said the same thing last time. April the 15th is supposed to be their opening date. It's looking good. It looks like to me they got everything done, got the grass growing, built a little thing around the pump house, and got the fire depression thing going. Everything looks good. So I'm assuming they're still gonna try to open April the 15th. Spring Ridge, I've already mentioned, looks good, Todd, real good, did a fantastic job. And I do want to support Todd in what he said as far as when we have something local. I'm so disappointed that his company is just as qualified as anybody is. He may not build as quite as many schools, but he's built some good ones. He does good work, and his people's here, and there was just no reason not to have him build that schoolhouse here in Gilchrist County. It's a $40 million project, and I know how much pride he would have took in it and how much his employees would have took in it. And I'm still disappointed. I don't know what else to say. Darrell talked about the solar bill. The other thing, the board kind of tasked me with, meeting with, Tony Cruz from Columbia County. I did talk to him on the phone. I did go up and meet with him at his office, and I had a good conversation, got some good notes, some good information to share. I talked with Gene the other day in his office. He has some notes and he has some information. So what we're gonna do is he's gonna, put all his together. I'm gonna put all mine together, and he's, gonna get a few more things and a couple follow-ups. And then, I think we planned on having a workshop, Bobby, am I right, on zoning and something like that, or? maybe talk about
I
some of
think,
this?
I think the next step was when you and, Gene got your stuff together, I think we was gonna just have a staff meeting and bring Mr. Lang in, just so we can make sure we cover all the legality part of it.
Okay,
And we're right there, and then we'll bring it to the board.
okay,
Commissioner, Langford, this is where Columbia County, if it's under $5,000, like for a lean-to or something, okay, yeah. Good.
and I don't, like I said, I don't want to discuss all the details
I know,
now,
but
we'll bring
good.
it back, but
Yep.
there is some things I found out, there's some recommendations
Good.
that I'll make, and of course, Gene has,
It could be a good
the
thing.
pluses and the minuses, we both do, and then we'll make some recommendations after Mr. Lang's briefed up on it, and then
Okay,
we'll present it to the board,
Good.
what direction we may want to go in. And then the
Yeah.
board can decide what they want to do.
I mean, if it's state law, but we'll discuss it then,
Yeah,
so
okay.
we need to,
Anything we can do to make.
that's what I'm saying, let's go by the state law, let's don't make anything any worse for our citizens.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we
Okay.
get to it. That's all I have. Does anybody have anything else? Any public participation? Last chance. Thank y'all for coming.
We adjourned.
Yep,
Yep,
we'll see
y'all
you.
have a good
All right.